Hi, I'm Lee Merrick, and this is being shared under a Creative Commons license with attribution. You're welcome to share this as long as you don't attempt to profit from it, and you leave the attribution with me. So this is my syllabus. I'm doing this for Anoka Ramsey. I realize that this may or may not be the class that you are taking, but my syllabus is pretty similar all the way around. So I want to just make one recording and we can talk specifics at some future point if you have questions still. All right, so a couple pieces of information. Here is what's Anoka Ramsey. It tells you what semester it is that we're looking at, the class and the course number, the course name, the number of credit hours, when it meets, and where it meets. In this particular case, I have some online office hours. They are done by Zoom here. And I also have an office on the Coon Rapids campus this time. That may or may not be the same each semester. Because I'm adjunct, I do tend to be shuffled around a little bit. My office hours are Tuesday and Wednesday. Those times are specific for the spring semester of 2023. And I want to point out that my best way to reach me is using text. And this phone number, the 651-243-0244, is the best way to reach me. I usually am able to reply to that sometimes within minutes. Usually I'm able to reply within an hour or so, especially if I'm not otherwise engaged. There may be times I'll tell you that I'm traveling or whatever, and I don't have access to a computer, so I may not be able to answer your question as quickly as you might like. But that is, at least you're getting the acknowledgement that, I know that I know there's a question. The next best way to reach me is by email. Here's information about COVID and what kind of delivery attempts we're going to have as far as whether it's in person, whether it's on Zoom, or however it's being presented to you. I want to make sure that you are aware of the attendance expectations. You're expected to attend and participate in class meetings. Now, outside of class time, I do expect you to check your D2L Brightspace and your email. I do send out announcements, and those announcements often will be related to classes that are immediately coming up or something that is going on in the immediate future. So you do want to keep an eye open for those sorts of announcements. I am using people's logins to the computer software, whether it be Pearson or Cengage, as proof of your attendance in class. All right, so that is really a key point I want you to be aware of. If you are not logging in, if you are not doing your work, even if you're showing up every single day, right? Even then, you are going to be dropped administratively or withdrawn from the class administratively, because as far as I can see, you are not actively engaged in the class. And if you're not actively engaged in the class, you just get dropped. And like I said, whether you're showing up in class or not, that's almost, it's important, but it's incidental to whether or not you're making adequate progress. So I want to make sure folks know that. I know that some people have gotten upset when they have been dropped administratively because they were not doing their work. There is the technology requirements. You do need a computer. You do need to be able to access the internet. I strongly recommend that you have a TI-83 or TI-84. I recommend Texas Instruments because those are the ones that I know the best. That doesn't mean that I'm unwilling to help people with other brands, it just means that I'm not going to be able to help you as readily. So just be aware of that. We are going to be doing things through D2L. You're encouraged to download the Pulse app and be able to use that. There's other information about your different ways of getting technology help and support. Your course description, I'll let you read that off of the actual syllabus for your class. Number of credit hours, that's going to vary again by class. The expectations and the prerequisites, those are going to vary again by class. So, important information. I want you to be successful in this class. So, if you're struggling, please, please, please make a point of getting in touch with me. I will ask that you at least make an attempt to find out if you have the answer to the information you need already in the syllabus or it's posted somewhere. If you're struggling with finding it though, do get in touch with me. I want to make certain that you are getting what you need in order to be successful in my class. Now, there are a couple of behaviors that will make a huge difference as to whether or not you are able to be successful. The first one is you need to show up. You need to be here. You need to listen to the lessons. You need to work through the problems. You need to struggle with it a little bit. And that's going to be normal. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But struggling with math is very normal. The second is the belief that you can be successful. Now, if you decide you can't do it, you've actually closed the door to the possibility. So when you feel like you can't do it, tack on the word yet. I can't do it yet. And by leaving that little crack in the door open, it makes it so that you can learn it. The third thing that's going to be a huge impact on whether you're going to be successful or not in this class is whether you're completing the assignments. And I get the fact that life happens and things can get away from you, and been there, done that, okay? So I'm not saying that you're struggling. So it's really easy to get caught up in the every day and start missing a class, and then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed because you have to catch yourself back up again. Be very careful not to allow that to happen. It's real easy. We've all been there where life happens, but reach out for help before you go over the waterfall. If you're struggling, it feels like you're being swept downstream, start yelling sooner rather than later, because once you've gone over the waterfall, there's not a whole lot that anybody can do to help. All right. So I'm going to suggest that you make a significant consideration whether or not you're going to be able to do homework. If you are not going to do homework, if you've already decided that that's not going to work for you, you need to drop this class immediately. 40% of your grade is going to be homework. If you don't do the homework, you will not pass. All right? I do want you to know that I give you as many opportunities to be successful in that as I can possibly do. You are allowed unlimited attempts to complete the homework before the due date for 100%. You can do it over and over and over again until you get it. There are different options available. Show me how to do this problem. Show me an example. Looking something up in the book. All kinds of things. Okay, there's lots of ways that you can get yourself support. If you miss the due date, you're still allowed to make those corrections. You're allowed to make to do the assignments. You'll get 85% of the points instead of 100%. And the reason behind that is I know some folks like to wait until the very end and cram and try and get everything all done. And those people that have been doing everything they were supposed to do all the way along, they deserve the A's. And so if you refuse to do the work along the way and then you're going to catch it all up at the end, the best you're going to do is get a B. So that's the rationale behind that. There are free tutoring services. I suggest you check those out and access them as you need them. Again, sooner is better than later. Classroom diversity, I want to make sure everybody knows that they are welcome and that they are free to raise questions and their concerns. And I want to make sure that there are no bad behaviors against other students or towards me. I would prefer that everybody be respectful of one another and we treat each other as we should for as far as showing that respect. All right, no classroom bullying, no harassment, no misogyny, no Islamophobia, no racism. It's just not cool. All right, and that includes no difficulty giving somebody who has a disability difficulty. All right, so just be aware of that. My expectations around that are very high, and I am pretty adamant about those. All right. There's other things. There's basic needs resources, personal counseling, Office of Students with Disabilities. You can contact them. Veteran services, all of that. There's a lot of resources available at ARCC, and if you need them, I really encourage you to use them. Right? There's no shame in being able to ask for help. That's the sign of a smart person. You know that you're in over your head and you're asking for help. All right, so here's some technical stuff that has to be in the syllabus. Some of this is just stuff that has to be there. So again, information about the fact that I'm going to be tracking attendance, and that's necessary because of financial aid. There are people who have decided to misuse financial aid, and it tends to come back to get them. If you are not making adequate progress, I've already addressed this a little bit, but if you're not attending classes and you're falling behind and you haven't contacted me, sometimes there's a reason, and I know, we've worked something out so that you can, play catch up a little later or something, but if I don't hear from you and you're not making adequate academic progress, you are administratively removed from the class, and that results in a no credit or an F. So if you are removed, you can petition to get back in, but again, I'm going to require that you show me that you're serious about getting caught up again. And if you do decide that, yeah, I'm in over my head, I need to withdraw, I shouldn't be in this class right now, you want to go to your advisor and get your grade changed from an F to a W. A W does not affect your GPA anywhere near as much as an F will do. So I'm going to suggest that you take a look at that. All right, so if there's announcements in class, you are responsible for knowing them, whether you're there or not. So make sure you know what's going on. Here's some information that's just required to be in here: the learning outcomes, things that are expected as far as calculators and text, things that you want to have, like a 3-ring binder or paper and all of that. So you can get into the assignments by going in through D2L. Under the materials drop down, there's content. You click on that, and then once you go into content, there's an option for My Math Lab. For some students, that's going to be Cengage instead of My Math Lab. And those are the things that you will be using to do your homework. There's online quizzes. Those also, you get full credit. They're worth 20% of your grade. So between homework and the quizzes, it's 60% of your grade right there. If you do them and you do them well, you're allowed 2 attempts on quizzes. So you want to be sure you're up to speed, okay? Don't just attempt them and then waste that 20%. But if you feel like you're up for it, go ahead and do it, and hopefully you get that 100%. If you get close, study up a little bit more, and then try again. If you wind up doing it late, remember, you're going to get 85% of the problems that are correct. So you're going to want to make certain that you are on top of that as well. So tests, there's a midterm and a final, and you only get to do them once. All right. Now on the midterm, you do get to make corrections. All right. You do get to make corrections. Now on the final, you do not. The final is final. That's what it sounds like. There's no redos. There's no corrections. And you may not take it after the last class. If you do not show up for class on the last day and you have not contacted me ahead of time, you're out of luck. Okay? Just want to make certain that we're all on the same page on that. Due dates, they're listed there for a reason. You need to know when they're due. After that, you can get 85% if you work your work after your due date. I'm going to just leave it at, we've already kind of covered that a little bit. So here's the scale for your final grade. A's are 90% and above. B's are from 80 to 89%. C is from 70 to 79%. D is from 65 to 69%. And then hopefully nobody has an F, but that would be below 65%. All right, here's the stuff I hope I never, ever have to use. First of all, I do not give incompletes under any circumstance. All right? You need to be aware of that. If there's some reason why we need to look at that or come up with a different approach to that, how we can get you through the class without doing an incomplete, again, we need to talk sooner rather than later. And again, there will not be an incomplete. There will be some other plan put in place. Okay, we will problem solve together. The other thing that you absolutely must know is that I expect academic integrity. If you cheat, I have no mercy. None. I am absolutely going to throw as much in the way of penalties at anybody who cheats as I can possibly do and hold people accountable for that behavior. I take it very, very personally. Okay? From my perspective, if it looks like cheating, it is cheating. All right? It's just that simple. So if you're looking at someone else's paper, even though you're saying, no, I really wasn't looking, if I see it and you're looking at someone's paper, you are kind of under the gun for cheating because you're doing something that looks like cheating. All right? You're not going to copy from classmates. You're not going to share calculators. You're not using math solver apps, any other information outside of what's permitted. And I do allow notes a lot of times, depending on what's going on. But I am not cool with cheating. And as I say, I do not take that kindly at all. All right. So basically what it boils down to is cheating is going to put your academic placement in jeopardy. And that's a really uncomfortable place to be. Please do not risk your education. If you are concerned that you are not, whether or not something is cheating or not, ask. I am much more likely to spend the time and work out, kind of what's going on in your head or what is it that you want to do that you're concerned might look like cheating than finding out after the fact and we have a big issue between us. All right. As for the syllabus, I reserve the right to make corrections. Sometimes dates get shuffled back. Sometimes things come up. I mean, the pandemic happened and most of us were not expecting that. So things can happen and I understand that. So sometimes there may be a need to adjust the syllabus, but I try really hard to make certain that we're as accurate as I can possibly be at this point. All right, I'm going to wind this up now and post this. Hopefully you will find this useful. And again, if not, contact me with concerns.